Yo, what is good, guys? It's your boy Chad here from D Fun Simping. In today's video, we're going to be going over most of our favorite street interviewer. It's complicated. The way he puts together questions and bamboozles people is absolutely flawless. But anyway, a couple quick shameless self plugs. Make sure to check out my Discord. The link is in the description below. Man, it's going crazy in there. People are dropping, their receipts of their W's, their L's, right? You got their dating app profile reviews. People are just super active in there, and I want to hear what you have to say. But without getting too far ahead of myself, let's jump into today's video topic. Let's go.
If women have been historically oppressed, where did the expression ladies first come from?
So before they answer, let me give an answer. I'm going to say this. The word oppressed is used incorrectly, right? For the longest time, men being the patriarch in the household, and the women being the provider of the household, right? As far as the cooking, the cleaning, that was normal. So it was never seen as oppressive. It's the modern woman who say, hey, that was oppressive, right? So let's gotta fix that word first, okay? So chivalry has always been a thing. It's always been a thing, especially way, way back in the day. So I don't think the word is oppressive because women weren't really oppressed, because men had their role, women had their role. They're like, bitch, do you know the answer?
Let the bitches go. You gotta let the ladies go first. The ladies, look at her. Like, look, why wouldn't you let her go first?
We real bad bitches. You gotta let a real bad bitch go.
Oh God, we got low IQ individuals.
It came from men believing that women are so, like, I guess, dainty and fragile that they put women first, because that comes from misogyny. And
putting women first comes from misogyny. You see, you can spot a girl who thinks like this a mile away. You know what I mean? So a man putting a woman first, hey, ladies first, let her walk through first. Let this woman, have this seat. Let her sit down first. It's misogyny. Here's the kicker. Misogyny is the hatred or contempt for all women. So if you let a woman go first, you must hate her according to her logic. Straight delusion.
the patriarchy as well.
What is patriarchy,
What an interesting looking guy.
and why do so many women complain about it?
Patriarchy is a male dominated society, but society has always been male dominated. I don't even think women would want a woman dominated society. Shit, Hillary Clinton ran for president and women still didn't vote for her.
Patriarchy is outdated and non-existent.
Okay, would you agree, though, that it's defined as a system of society or government in which men hold the power and women are largely excluded from it?
Okay, yes, we're talking about like 1600s England.
All of the rules of our society were created by men. All of the positions of power are held by men.
And there's nothing stopping women from getting there. Like, there's not one rule that says women can't run for office. Women can't be CEOs. So I don't get what he's saying.
For the most part. And every aspect of how our society functions was decided by men.
I would say
Is that an issue? Like, I'm waiting for them to make the point.
that the patriarchy is a system put in place that helps white men specifically, right?
Okay.
In putting them into positions of power so that they can continue taking care of the system instead of dismantling it. Because anyone who has a real opinion and goes into the system trying to fix it is silenced.
I guarantee you, if you push back on her and said, give me an example of that, she couldn't give it to you.
And that's a fact.
And she added, that's a fact on top of that, when she couldn't even. I guarantee if you push back, give me an example of someone trying to level up and trying to get into Congress and they were silenced because they're a woman.
Why do people believe patriarchy was built by men to serve men if men are victims of their own design?
That's an excellent question, because guys sometimes don't think of it. There are sensitive men out there and they get they do get put down for it.
If we live in a patriarchy, why are men held more accountable than women?
Hey, this is why we love this channel, man. They just asked all the right questions. God bless. What's up, King Judah? Salute, salute, my brother. Salute, salute.
Well, because, you know, we're the forefront of things. We're always going to be the forefront of things when we go to war, when we, you know, are the face in the public, you know, presidency and all that when it comes to status, the highest level of status.
Is that a privilege or is that a
I
responsibility?
believe it's a responsibility.
Because we're men. We, like you said, we do. You said we designed everything. We do everything, so everything comes back on us. The blame.
Is that male privilege or is that male responsibility?
Male responsibility.
So why do so many people think we have male privilege when we actually have responsibilities that women don't?
This guy be dropping a lot of heat, man. And sometimes you just have to sit back and go down. Yeah, male privilege versus male responsibility. That's huge. That's really huge. I like that.
Damn, I don't know. I'm finna go home and fucking think about it because that's a good ass question.
If we live in such a patriarchal society, where did all these laws come from that protect women and punish men?
Yeah, she's stumped because a lot of times for women, right? If you don't have kids, there's birth control. You know, if your man doesn't pay child support, he goes to jail. But there's nothing like that for, you know, for men. If we can't pay child support, there's no support system for us. You know, there's more homeless shelters for women than there are for men. So yeah, it may be a patriarchal society, but men are held accountable at a way higher level than women. So if it was really, you know, a male-dominated society, we would make it to where girls are paying the price and men are not. But obviously, we don't see that happening as much.
That's a good one too. That's a really good one too. Honestly, I feel like it would probably have boiled down from either men that have like more of a feminine mindset, not to be like offensive, or like just men that have, you know, daughters and wives and just I don't know where to make that specifically not for them, but like essentially for them, you know, to not only protect their daughters and wives and stuff, but everybody's daughters and wives.
Do you think that patriarchy is the cause of gender roles or is it the result of gender roles?
Gender roles are natural because of physiology. And
yeah, they're natural, right? Men, we are physically stronger due to testosterone. So it's much smarter to send off men to go hunt the woolly mammoth than the woman, right? It makes more sense for us to do the tougher labor because that's what we're built for, and let the women do things a bit easier. You know, not easier, that's not the right word. I would say things that they like doing. They say men are more interested in things, women are more interested in people. So let them spend time with the children and stuff like that.
biology.
Right. Men were the hunters and women were the gatherers, right?
Yeah, I think it's kind of caused by, if you look at like the 1950s, the 60s American nuclear family, it was very definitive on what the gender roles of the man and the woman were, which I think has definitely contributed to the way we view a patriarchal society today and how we're trying to transgress from that.
Transgress from that. So what do you want, a woman-dominated society?
Do you think patriarchy is the cause of gender roles or is it the result of gender roles?
Result.
Historically, weren't men in the productive sphere while women were in the reproductive sphere?
Absolutely.
I feel like in that point in time, it was more so like, you know, ladies cook, ladies clean, ladies take care of the babies, while the man handles, you know, all the outside business, takes care of bringing in the income and all that fun stuff. So I feel like that's where that kind of originated from.
Isn't patriarchy just a natural evolution of men and women just giving into their expected roles?
No, because not every woman is reproducing. Not every woman wants.
You see, these are the type of girls that are annoying, right? Not every woman is reproducing. That's correct, but majority are. She's going to go on an entire raid saying that, oh, not every woman does this, not everyone does this. But guess what? Life, you can't never make everyone happy. There's always exceptions to rules here. So she's going to say a whole lot of nothing for another 20 seconds. Let's hear what she has to say.
To be a woman, not every woman wants to have kids. So if
Majority of them do. So again, she's just saying a bunch of things. Not every woman. I can say this. Not every woman wants a tall guy. Not every woman wants a guy who makes money. Not every woman wants a guy who's successful. These are all true things, but it's incorrect because most women do. Therefore, the minority doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's obsolete. Great content. Shout out to my boy Samuel. Shouts out to you, G.
you're putting women in this position where it's only put to reproduce, then you're silencing every other voice that we have. We're not only here to reproduce, and men
You are.
only aren't here to be laborers.
We have to, or else we're not getting no bitches. So yes, we are.
So when you put it in that way, what are you saying? We're just here to pop out babies?
Well, did I ever say all women are all men? I'm just generalizing and saying.
Yeah, you're generalizing, and that's an issue.
No,
You
it's
know-
not an issue.
Well, I'd argue that women were involved in some critical inventions. Radiation.
Can you name 5 famous female inventors? I'll give you one, Madame Curie.
That's the one I was thinking of. That's cheating. 5 famous female inventors. You know, I think it is a bit of a numbers game. There aren't as many famous female inventors, historians, mathematicians, any in those powerful roles historically as there were men.
That is correct. In fact, until up until the 70s, until the feminist movement.
So isn't patriarchy just the natural evolution of men and women just giving into their expected roles?
Of course.
So why is patriarchy seen as such a bad thing when women always expected men to provide?
Because they're the devil.
This guy's hilarious.
Isn't the idea of patriarchy oppressing women based on a false premise?
Of course.
Isn't the idea of patriarchy oppressing women based on a false premise?
Yeah, because the patriarchy does so much for women. Think about it. Women enjoy nightlife because of the patriarchy. Hey, men, you got to pay thousands of dollars. Women, you get in free. Patriarchy also teaches, men how to be gentlemen, right? Let the lady sit down first if she's pregnant. Open the car door for the woman. There's a lot of things that patriarchy does to also protect women. I gave pretty bad examples, but if I bet you I looked them up, I can find a lot of examples that girls don't even think about or fathom that the patriarchy does help them and protect them and make their lives a lot better.
In today's day and age, absolutely.
Oh, I got some. Divorce court definitely benefits the women for sure. What else is there as far as patriarchy? That's another one I thought of, but we'll keep the show going. Let's see what else we got.
Women's suffrage was 100 years ago.
Okay. When men were in charge, didn't they still make laws to protect women?
Yes.
If we lived in a matriarchy, would women make laws to protect men?
I mean,
I can't answer that question because I'm not sure.
They should.
Okay, why aren't feminists fighting for those laws right now?
Because feminists are a fucking loud minority.
If women have been historically oppressed, where did the expression ladies first come from?
That's a good question. I would say, honestly, I don't know.
The women were the softer and fairer sex. So they treated women softer and fairer. They weren't, their place wasn't, they didn't need to be doing anything professionally because that wasn't, they were too soft for that. They were needed to be cared for. So that was where the whole idea, the current idea of like chivalry, of, opening the doors, which I actually do support because it shows respect for women.
It was always like, oh, you need to find you a man that does this, 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 and this. But it was never, people weren't teaching their sons like, oh, well, you need to have a wife that does this, this, and this. Make sure you have a girl that does this and this.
It's funny she says that because, when men start listing off things that they want in a woman, it's always met with pushback. Oh, I prefer a girl who's younger. You're a predator. Oh, I prefer a girl who's a bit more, submissive and understanding. Oh, well, you're toxic and you're insecure. When men, when men want to list off things that they want in a woman, it's usually met with toxic, insecure, misogynistic. But when women say taller, stronger, better, more confident, more money, it's usually met with "you go, sis." So she brings up a great point.
There's always, being more focused on girls finding the most perfect man, the most chivalrous man, the man that's going to do all this stuff for you. But I feel like it really shouldn't be about, finding somebody that provides all this stuff for you. It really should be about finding somebody that you guys can really make shit happen together and just elevate together. It shouldn't be about like, oh, well, I provided this and you don't have to provide anything. No.
How can a society that always places women first be called a patriarchy?
That's a great thing to bring up. A lot of times, you do hear women first, let the lady go first. But if it was a patriarchal society, it should be more men should be first. But we do put the woman first a lot of the time, and that's talked about in marriages. Put her first, right? So it's interesting how they say they scream patriarchy, but if you look in our society, there's a lot of women first ideas. It's a good point.
Paradox.
Would you consider chivalry to be a female privilege?
Of course.
If we're placing women first all the time, I don't think it would be called a patriarchy, because that doesn't even make sense.
Would you consider chivalry to be a female privilege?
Yes, because there is no chivalry in the inverse. Ladies, make sure you do this for the man. No, like it's men are taught how to treat women, but women are not taught how to treat men. Facts, 1,000 gazillion percent. Gazillion percent.
Yes. Chivalry to be a female privilege? I would.
Why?
I would, because I feel like chivalry sometimes has to be deserved.
Ooh. Listen, I actually believe in this 100%. When I first meet a woman, am I opening her car door and doing all the crazy stuff? No. However, I tell her if we keep dating and we start vibing, I will do that because, like she said, chivalry is earned. I'm not going to go pull your chair at dinner just because you're a woman. I'm not going to open up your car door just because you're a woman. If we vibe, you're going to bring value to my life and I feel like you're worth it, you're going to get chivalry. Like she just mentioned, it is earned. It's not given to every single woman I meet. I believe chivalry is something you should kind of reserve for more girl that, you know, you like. Now, just to make sure I don't eat my words, you should always be respectful, kind, courteous, but going and open up the car door and pulling her chair and pushing her in, I think that's more reserved for women you like and not just any girl you just met off the Tinder.
Because, you know, I don't feel like, not to like talk trash about anybody, but I feel like chivalry is definitely something that should be deserved, something that should be earned, you know, not saying everybody should be like rude or anything, but like the utmost chivalry, you know, like the opening doors and like doing all that good stuff. I feel like it should be earned.
Right, but don't women kind of expect that on a first date?
I feel like some people do, but that's why you should talk to who you're going on your first date with to really see what they do and don't expect, to see what does and doesn't work for you as your individual person, if that makes sense.
If we lived in a matriarchal society that was run by women, what would the man's role become?
The same thing. It wouldn't change. You still provide for me and it will never change. Like, see, a woman's role has been changed from cook and clean, that's the past, to now they will be boss babes independent. No problem with that. But the man's role has always and always will be the same. You got to be the best. You got to be the baller, the shot caller, money, success. You got to have those things. Now, you don't have to have those things, but they're preferred if you want the best woman in your life. Just saying.
The hard workers, and we'd be the bitches at home.
Isn't that exactly what we have right now?
Yeah, you're right.
So why would a matriarchy be any better than a patriarchy if that's exactly what we have right now?
Okay, sorry, I contradicted your question. Too many tequila shots.
I feel like the opposite would literally happen. You know, women would end up, you know, bringing in all the bread.
No, they wouldn't. Women don't want to work like men. They really don't want to do that. I promise you, majority of girls, yes, there's your boss babe out there, but majority would much rather be at home. They can work 50, 60-hour work weeks working with men. They much rather not do that. I guarantee you.
You know, working all the time, and then it'd be the men that were at home taking care of the kids, you know, cooking, cleaning.
But do you think women want to do all those dangerous, dirty jobs that are typically done by men?
No, I can absolutely say they will not.
So then wouldn't the man's role pretty much stay the same as doing all the hard labor jobs?
Honestly, yeah, and then it would just add fuel to the fire, because it'd be, not only do I have to, or as a man, not only do they have to go, you know, do all the working and stuff, they also have a wife that's at home, not taking care of the children, not cooking, not cleaning. So then at that point, it's just like, why do you even have a wife?
Can you think of any matriarchies that have existed and stood the test of time?
None. Zero. There never will be one.
I mean, no.
So then why do so many women want to tear down the patriarchy and replace it with a matriarchy?
Because they're delusional.
Because they're not smart. They think with their emotions. They're not. You know what? I don't want to put it on all women, but I want to say that the women that believe in things like that, they're just naive. They're misled.
Well, there are examples of matriarchal societies.
Please.
The Sisseton, which is my ancestry, on my mother's side, indigenous people were matriarchal. They're matrilineal, actually, which meant the the woman, the female,
Today, Junior.
all inheritances came through the female side. And when you were born into the clan of your mother.
If we all followed biblical principles, the world will be way better. Unfortunately, evil is in the heart of man. You see, I agree, man. Biblical principles would really keep this country together. Unfortunately, we ain't doing that. So there's so much chaos going on. But yes, sir, I feel you on that, G.
There was that what was that Egyptian queen?
Cleopatra?
Cleopatra, yeah, she was chilling. Something with Alexander the Great. I don't know if that would be matriarchal, but that lasted a little while until she was, I guess, bored of it and a snake bit her.
Many indigenous societies, the Cherokee, Haudenosaunee, many indigenous societies were both matriarchal and matrilineal, but it's not that men had no place. There were men leaders, but a matriarchal society isn't necessarily about women controlling everything.
Because we got tired of kind of being pushed around and not being able to speak up for ourselves, because men were being our voices instead of letting us be our voices, having the respect of the women who is the background of some of the things that we have.
She sounds like she's been drinking too many as well.
Maybe influence of men doing.
All I'm going to say is a man's world, but it wouldn't be nothing without a woman or a girl.
That's not to say that men should live just to serve women, although there is, I think, an argument to be made that that is the case, since women are the ones who produce children. And if children are the future, I think there's a good case to be made that the point of society should be ultimately to serve the interests of women.
Women often complain how it's a man's world and how men have all the power in society. If we lived in a matriarchy and women had all the power, would they be willing to give it up?
Not at all.
So then why should men?
We shouldn't.
But we are.
We are, but we shouldn't.
Don't women have all the power when it comes to controlling sex, and are they willing to give that up?
No, they're not.
I don't even think that's always true, because if you think about it, men are mostly dominant during sex. And then
No, she misunderstood the question.
Well, I mean, women have the power to basically
say if it does or doesn't happen.
Yes.
Women have the power to basically decide, yeah, if it does or doesn't happen.
That is true. That is very
So
true.
once again, don't women have all the power when it comes to controlling sex, and are they willing to give that up?
You're kind of right.
They would not. You see, that's when it gets grapey for the sense of for YouTube's sake. That's what I'm trying to say. For YouTube's sake, it would get very grapey if women lost consent. That'd be really bad.
And I feel like I don't know if I can speak for everybody, but if I were to speak for like the majority of women, I would probably say no, honestly.
So then why do women expect men to give up all the power that they've earned?
It's a good question. That's a very good question. That's a very good question. That's a really good question. I feel like they shouldn't. I feel like if you want everybody to be equal, you shouldn't expect. You feel me? You shouldn't expect.
But isn't that what's happening in society right now?
That is what's happening.
Correct.
You're
Yes.
definitely right. That is.
I think power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. I don't know if the roles were reversed that it would have any different outcome or current result than we have now. That's just the nature of power and authority.
Patriarchal societies are fundamentally less capable of functioning.
Who gave this dude the mic?
The matriarchal societies. If you look at matriarchal societies,
They've been destroyed by everyone. They've been destroyed.
Or harmonious, because women are actually one thing that women are better at is cooperation.
They are better at cooperation.
Women are objectively better at cooperating
That's why when men give the orders, they listen. Exactly. Jesus.
than men are.
So let me ask you this then. If women don't need men...
I didn't say that.
Well, my point is, if women are better at cooperation, why don't they build a female-only civilization on an island or a female-only Fortune 500 company and show the world how it's done?
I just think this question is really funny because you sound a lot like, if you know the Fresh and Fit podcast, just similar argument that I was on that podcast. A girl had a similar argument. Like, there's women that most women don't know how to do male jobs. Like, they wouldn't be able to start a civilization by themselves.
the very few women who would have the capability of doing something like that in terms of access to resources, why would they want to?
Well,
They're already taking over this society. Why would they want to build a women's only society when they can instead implant themselves empowered, not for women necessarily, but for themselves? Why would they not just pursue power for their own sake in this one?
When men were in charge, didn't they still make laws to protect women?
Of course.
If we lived in a matriarchy where women had all the power, would women make laws to protect men?
Not at all.
Why not?
Because it's not
in their best interest.
It wouldn't be in their best interest to stay in control.
I feel like no, honestly, because I feel like it's their mindset. I just feel like it's very not closed-minded, but a little bit corrupted, because I feel like they'll look at it more of as a oh, well, they didn't protect us whenever it was their time, so why should we protect them, when it's really not that, because we were protected. It was, again, just corrupted thinking to where you thought you weren't being protected, you know?
Patriarchy is just a nice semantic way to complain about something that's not a problem.
Do you think that women only complain about patriarchy when they're competing with men?
Yes, patriarchy isn't a problem when they get into clubs for free. Patriarchy isn't a problem when they say, oh, know how to treat a woman, gentleman stuff, chivalry. It's not a problem then. It's only a problem when they're trying to compete with men in male dominated spaces. That's when it becomes a huge issue, and that's where they're trying to take down the patriarchy. More women CEOs, but they don't want to work in the coal mines. They don't want to work and do offshore drilling. Not those jobs. They want the C-suite job, CEO, CFO, but they gotta compete with men for it. And statistically, men work longer hours, and that's all I'll say about that before I get called a misogynist on here.
I think women complain about patriarchy because it gives them an edge, and in today's competitive society, anybody will do anything for an edge.
Okay, including claiming victimhood, right?
Yes.
Okay. Isn't the idea of patriarchy oppressing women based on a false premise?
In today's day and age, absolutely.
If society was controlled by men, patriarchy, how would feminism be a movement that's gained traction without the help of men?
It wouldn't.
So then, are men really in ultimate power?
I mean, if we're giving our power away.
That's true, because there is a lot of feminine.
Yeah, I agree. If this was a male dominated society, the thought of women gaining power wouldn't go far. You need men to help push the narratives and push the ideas, so I do agree with that. It's a good point.
Is that are men as well. So that's damn, you're really good. You're really good.
You might as well be asking how African American, how the civil rights movement happened if there was no racism, or if there was racism. Like, yes, we accept racism existed, which is why the civil rights movement had to happen. It's the exact same thing with feminism. If there's no patriarchy, there obviously is. Like, there's no question. But just an example of patriarchy and the built-in system. In the original planning of the government of the United States, the only people who were allowed to vote were men.
But you also had to be drafted and be a landowner to be able to vote as well. Women got the right to vote without being drafted.
No, that's not true. First of all, you didn't have to be drafted to vote.
We had to be registered to be drafted.
For the draft to vote?
Yeah. That was part of the deal. And there were women who actually opposed the right to vote. Were you aware of that? They were called anti-suffragists.
Yeah, I know.
So why do you think that there are women? Well, let me ask you this: why do you think there are women who oppose the right to vote, or why do you think that there are women who oppose feminism?
Why does Candace Owen exist?
That's irrelevant. That's called a red herring. When you ask someone a question and they can't answer it, they will bring up another point. No, answer the question.
Can you name any rights men have today that women don't?
Any rights that men have that women do not? Any rights that men have that women do not? No.
So then what laws are feminists fighting for?
I think they just want more power. They see the incongruency of, jobs held by men and, society being run by men. They want to equal out that playing field. I think that's what their issue is.
Shit, that's a good one.
Hold on, let's get some super chats real quick. Do you think that most of the population lacks common sense, logic? If so, why do you think this is? Well, I think people are raised differently. You know, for example, let's just say in my household, they say take your shoes off before you walk into somebody's house. To me, that's common sense. I've been told that since I was a kid. If you take somebody else who was never raised around that premise, he'll come into your house and walk through your kitchen and your living room with his boots on. He's not trying to be disrespectful. It's just, to him, that's not common sense, when to you it was, right? So to answer your question, it's due to lack of, you know, mother and father and people around you teaching you these things. Because if kids weren't taught, you know, how to take your shoes off, they're not going to take their shoes off. Very basic explanation. That's my reasoning for that one. Chad, floor, I don't know what you mean by that. Yo, homie, hung out with this girl in a super small group setting. We hit a roof in LA, had fun. She was feeling me. Went back to college and we'll be back in 2 weeks. We subtly snapping now. How should I play it? Listen, bro, if y'all hit it off, all I gotta do is say, hey, what's up, girl? I'm gonna be back in school, or sorry, I'm gonna be back in your area this weekend. Let's grab a drink. Be assumptive. Don't say, would you like to? Do you have time to? Be assumptive. I think that's the best way to go about it, because you guys already hit it off. The rapport has already been built, so you don't have to do much work, in my opinion. Government indoctrination. Yeah, man, I feel you. Do you think there is a way to be able to bring common logic into society in a widespread way that will make change? No, because I think that common logic, for example, my common logic may not be your common logic. Let's just say, to me, common logic is gender roles. Gender roles is a very, in my opinion, controversial topic. If you're to say to a woman, I provide, you cook and clean, she may think you're misogynistic for saying that she should do her role of cooking and cleaning and not provide. So that's the problem. Common logic, it's an issue because, to me, what's logical to someone else is illogical. So that'd be my response to that. Haha, nah, I get that. But I mean, what should I give her attention on? Snap or just chill? I appreciate the response. Give her attention on Snap or just chill? I think you should hit her up, bro. Hit her up on Snap, because she may not hit you up first. Some girls have an ego where they don't want to hit you up first. So most definitely hit her on Snap. Hey, gonna be back in town. Let's grab a drink. I think that would be your best bet.
No.
So what are feminists fighting for? What laws?
I don't necessarily know if it's about laws. I think it's about power.
Well, do you think feminists want equality, or do they want power?
You can't have quality without power.
You can't have equality. No, equal means 50-50. We're both on the same playing field. So power is 70-30, 60-40. Equality is 50-50. We're both the same. No one has more power than the other. So this guy's delusional.
Well,
if you're powerless, you can't be equal.
That's a really good one. Oh man, I don't even know, because, like, you know, you can, I mean, you could fight for equality and everything, but if you think about it, essentially we've already, for the most part, reached equality. Because if, like, any job that's going to hire a man will more than likely hire a woman as well.
All right, guys, I'm wrapping up this stream. Any more questions? Men need to improve their vetting process better with modern women. I agree. To speak on that, guys, when I'm on these first dates, what I do is I ask her questions like, what are your thoughts on guys' trips? You got to talk to her about men first, okay? When she goes, oh, yeah, men shouldn't do guys' trips, blah, blah, blah. I'll go, okay. Should girls go on girls' trips? And flip it back on her. And if she's like, oh, yeah, like, my man can't go to Vegas, but me and my girls can, you know, this is a recreational use only woman, because she's obviously a hypocrite, right? So there's that one. And another thing you can ask a woman to kind of vet her is to, what is her thoughts on gender roles, right? Does she think, she should be home and providing for the family, or should or does she think that, oh, I'm gonna be a boss babe and work 80 hours a week and be a millionaire? These are things you got to find out before you go long term with a girl, because I don't want to work with a woman. I don't want to be with a woman that is working a lot of hours, because if she's working 50, 60 hours, I'm doing 50, 60 hours. When we come home, there's not gonna be much time to do anything besides eat a meal together and go to sleep. So that's my thing, man. Thank you for your time, work, and responses. Hey, man, I appreciate that. Anybody got any more questions before we end the stream tonight? It was a pleasure hopping on here and talking up with y'all. King Mike, King Judah, Tanner, Dio, Giannis. Anybody got any more questions for the boy? I'll gladly answer them. Gladly answer. All right. I think that's it. You guys have a wonderful night. I'll be talking to y'all soon. Whoop. Here we go. Would you agree that the more freedom women has, the worse society gets? Yeah, I agree with that. And the reason that is, just to back it up with why I feel, not to say it, is because marriages lasted longer when the man picked out the man for her daughter, because women, a lot of times when they're younger especially, pick men that are exciting, thugs, rappers, F-boys, players, and they tend to neglect the guy that's, a better guy to them, right? That's why you see girls when they get older dating guys like Russell Wilson, Will Smith, right? They start off with their bad boy years and then they settle for the good guy later. So my thing is, if there was a patriarch in the family saying, listen, baby girl, I'm going to, bring you a candidate of men that I think would be best for you, right? And you can pick from these 2 or 3 men, that'd be much better than her doing it. Controversial, yes, but I don't care. Cancel me. But you guys have a great rest of your night, and I'll talk to y'all soon. Peace.